So I've just sat down and finished watching the Spa 24 hours. And given that Le Mans, NERP and Spa were back to back to back, it took me some time to get through them all, but let's talk about the third race in the triple header. Let's start off with the winners, shall we? Well done to Grasha Racing Team, well done to Lamborghini for getting their first ever victory at the Spa 24. It makes it, the 6th different manufacturer in as many years? Yeah, because Porsche, Ferrari, Mercedes, BMW, Aston and Lambo. It's impressive when you look at that kind of spread, because it means that most of the major GT3 manufacturers have picked up a win in recent years. And, well, it happened to a great lineup. Some of whom have been going through their career for quite a while. The likes of Bortolotti are seen as more like veterans of the sport now. And then you've got some who are up-and-comers, people like Luca Engsler, for example, who are seen as the kind of next generation of GT racers. But it means that they got a comfortable victory, 9 seconds at the end, from Tronic Racing, and then it was a 3-4 for AF Corsa thanks to a penalty, right? It was a penalty for... It's for the 98, wasn't it? So they dropped back to 5th place, then ahead of Garage 59, who were the last cars on the lead lap. For other categories, the winners were Verstappen.com Racing. Well done to Harry Kane, Chris Lallem and Thierry Vermeulen for the win there. Walkenhorst won in silver, so well done to Romain Leroux, Olivier Söderström and Mateo Villagomez. And then Kessel's 74 won in bronze. Well done to Justin Blattner, Conrad Lawson, Dennis Marshall and Zachary Robichon. It's really cool to see a variety as well in terms of those winners, right? Because you've got an Aston Martin, got a Ferrari, got another Aston Martin as well. You've got a Lamborghini winning overall. Now, there were some cars that were unfortunate. For example, Corvettes were a bit unfortunate, but McLarens were a bit unfortunate. But yeah, well done to the winners. Deserved winners. What's also interesting is the fact that it has an impact on so many different championships as well. The IGTC, for example, if you look at it, you've got 4 different BMW drivers in the top 4, all on different points, because Kelvin van der Linde and Farfus were behind the wheel of different cars this time around. Whilst there were 3 drivers in the top 4 who were in the same car, which was Farfus, Raffaele Marciello and Jesse Krohn. They were also the ones who won at NERB. They weren't the same at Bathurst. Krohn wasn't at Bathurst, I don't believe, and Marciello was in a different car to the race winners of Farfus and van der Linde. So it gets a lot more complicated when you start to look at the standings like that. Likewise, Picciarello is tied with Sheldon van der Linde in 5th place. And that's because Picciarello is behind the Retronic Racing, who won. Sven Muller and Patrick Niederhauser were not behind the wheel of that car at Bathurst. And as a result, van der Linde, who was part of the winning car at Bathurst, but wasn't at the NERB 24 because he was at the Watkins Glen 6 hours, is separated again from the other people in his team because he's classified 6th in IGTC here. Because he was sharing a car with Dries Antor and Marco Wittmann. Likewise, the GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup gets shaken up a bit because the standings happen at different points. So, for example, Engsler and Pepper were classed at 23rd in the 6-hour mark, 2nd at the 12-hour mark, and then as the winners in the 24-hour mark. Now, granted, the points at the finish are double the points of the other 2 intervals, but put those 2 intervals together, you get the same amount of the finishing position. So they do come out of it the highest scorer, but there is always the chance that you could potentially not, especially depending on the way that Superpole ends up winding up. Anyways, since they have decided that next year they're not going to put a triple header of 24-hour races again, it means that we're not going to have too much of a debate around that in this video. Instead, I want to wrap up by talking about how impressive it was the distance covered, especially given how many safety cars there were. Because the 3,485 kilometers run was less than 2021, but then when you keep going back, the next time you find anything that is more, 2013, then 2009 and 8. But by that point, you're getting to the Maserati MC12s, Corvette C6Rs, you talk about FIA GT Championship, you talk about a different class of cars. So it's not a distance record, but it's one of the longer runs, especially considering how many safety car periods or full course yellow periods there were. But either way, folks, those are my thoughts, feelings, and observations. Thanks for sticking around and watching this, and especially because I know it's taken a while for me to get here. So, yeah, thank you. And, as always, until next time, from me, is bye-bye for now.